so excited to be sharing our third interview with Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro, Democrat of Connecticut, the 3rd Congressional District in Connecticut. And it's such a pleasure to be here with you again. What a treat. So let's go right into it. You have a lot to say about, the last time we were with you, we talked about the tax bill. And you gave us a heads up. It was in the middle of the fight. And you gave us a heads up about some of the very challenging things that, in your view, that tax bill would do for working families. And you have, it's obviously passed. Mm-hmm. It's passed in a somewhat different shape than, we saw it in when we were in your office. People have strong opinions about it. What is it that you want to tell America, people from all walks of life who are wanting to understand what's going to happen to them?
Well, let me put it in context, if I can, Naomi. The biggest single economic challenge we have in this country today is that people are in jobs that just don't pay them enough money to live on. They are facing the high cost of health care, of child care, education, you name it. They don't go on vacation, they don't retire, so they struggle. Now, when the president spoke about the tax bill, he said it was going to be about the forgotten Americans. Well, tucked into this tax bill, which doesn't get much of the headlines or much play, is an unbelievable tax incentive to businesses, to corporations, to send their jobs overseas, to outsource their jobs.
And isn't that the opposite of President Trump's appeal?
That's exactly right. He said he was going to bring back jobs and bring back industry. This is what the tax bill does. It says if you want to operate a business in the United States, you will have to pay on your profits 21% in tax.
I'm filing that tax return right now because I have a business. That's right.
However, if you take that same business and you go to Mexico, to Switzerland, wherever you go, to Ireland, you will pay 13% on your profits.
Oh my goodness.
So where will you go?
I will go to Ireland, of course. Except that it would be very embarrassing because I'm supposed to be an American business to do good things for America.
Exactly. So,
but if I can get away with it,
it's legal.
Ireland.
It is legal. It's not a question of getting away with it.
It's totally legal.
It's totally legal.
Oh my God.
So what
You'd
we
be an
have
idiot
done,
to stay in this country if you're a business owner.
So instead of providing an incentive to businesses to stay here, to create jobs here, to develop their technology here, we're saying, go for it. Take your jobs. Now, what does that do?
Believe it. What does it do?
What it does is there's a loss of jobs in the United States, and there is a depression of wages in the United States.
Already.
It increases.
It escalates.
It really exacerbates. It exacerbates that sense of one, economic insecurity. You've lost your job, your wages have gone down.
Right.
How are you going to try to succeed? Now, one would say, well, you're just making that up. I am not making that up. I would take a look at the big corporation.
Tell me about
in Milford, Connecticut, that took 300 jobs.
Is the famous pen
company,
yes.
Pens. 300 jobs.
Good jobs.
Good jobs that went offshore.
Where did they
were outsourced? They went to Mexico.
Wow.
They went to Mexico.
So they just closed their factory?
No, they didn't close it. They took 300 jobs.
I see.
They went to Connecticut over the last 2 decades has lost almost.
Before we go on, sorry to interrupt. What happened in Milford after those 300 jobs were lost? I mean, what did you see?
You see that there is, people are out of jobs.
So how does that affect a community?
Sorry
to ask obvious questions.
No, obvious questions. Very good questions. When people look for a job when they have lost it, they normally don't go back at the same salary that they have. In manufacturing jobs, it's about 2/3 of what you are making.
Wow.
So therefore, you continue that decline in economic wherewithal, and you put families in a much more difficult position to be able to provide education, to get their health care, to do all of the things that they need to do to survive. So it drags the economic viability of the family and the community
but also
down.
the community, right? Because they don't have the spending
They
money,
don't have
so
the spending
businesses
capacity.
close.
That's right.
I get it.
All of that is
Schools
a spiral.
Right.
It is a down spiral.
Gotcha.
So, and if you wanted, you take a look at it from the other side. Let's say you go to Mexico. Well, in Mexico, it's like $2 an hour.
Right.
So you don't do anything to deal with the standard of living in Mexico, and you lower the standard of living in the United States.
Exactly, and people in Mexico that I've spoken to also say this kind of globalization, outsourcing, helps Mexican leaders avoid dealing with their own problems.
That's right, and they have serious problems
Right.
with regard to labor rights for Mexicans. But we have now, just in December, allowed for, if you will, grandfathering those companies that have already
Wow.
done this, and we've opened the door to other corporations for being able to do this.
I'm really trying to process the hugeness of what you've explained to me. And I actually read that bill, as well may recall. I was like live tweeting about it, and people were stunned. But I didn't even understand this. I didn't grasp it. How is this not going to be how is this not like the biggest blow to keeping jobs in America?
It is.
And I'm trying to be nonpartisan, but like any business owner is going to think, well, and they have an obligation to their shareholders to deliver profit. If they can do it for 13% overseas or 21% at home, they would be not doing due diligence for their investors by keeping jobs here in America. Am I correct?
That's absolutely right, and this is all legal. Carrier. You will recall the president made a big deal. He went out to Carrier and he said he was going to save the jobs there. Well, long and the short of it, about 600 jobs from Carrier went to Mexico. And
so it was. This is like not even a photo op. It's like wallpaper hiding something that is the opposite of
what he's talking about and helping the forgotten people. Well,
Oh my
this
gosh.
tax bill,
I'm shocked.
this tax cut bill, and it's something that isn't talked about very much.
How could everyone have missed this story?
Outsourcing.
This is the biggest story of that bill. So basically what he did, if I understand it correctly, is that he gave like tiny amounts of money up front to average families lasting for 5 years, and then it evaporates, as we discussed. But then he turned to everyone else running a business or a corporation in the United States of America and said, look, you can keep jobs here in America and be a loser, or you can send them to Mexico and Ireland and make nearly another double digit in profit every year.
Yeah, no, that's a fact.
Why would anyone keep their jobs here? I mean, I know I'm asking the same question over and over, but my head is exploding.
Yeah.
Like, oh, so are you seeing like corporations?
Well, look, this is just happened in
Right.
December. We're now, in March, but it just stands to reason.
What are your colleagues in the labor movement saying to you about this?
People are outraged. They're saying the same things that we are. We've got to stop the outsourcing of jobs. It's one of the in the renegotiation of the NAFTA agreement, which outsourced really close to 1 million jobs. That's not my numbers. That's the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and that number I gave you from Connecticut over the last 2 decades, we have seen about 100,000, mostly manufacturing jobs, outsourced. That's from the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Well, you see it just going across the country.
What we are
Detroit
trying
is
to
gone.
do
Yes,
is
the Rust Belt is gone, Steel Belt is gone.
that's why the folks voted the way they did.
Exactly.
Because they were promised
Yes.
that this wasn't going to happen, but it is now happening.
So let me just jump in, because honestly, I'm feeling dizzy, and here's why I'm feeling dizzy, because it seems as if the parties have switched places. It was Clinton who pushed for NAFTA and globalization,
yes. Right.
And I just remember watching Trump making this appeal, which was an anti-globalization appeal, an America First appeal, keep the jobs at home, and all of my sophisticated liberal friends were writing him off, and I'm saying, don't write him off, because this is the issue. People are sick of seeing their jobs go overseas and nobody's standing up for the United States and keeping jobs at home. You cannot write this man off. So, hooray, I was right, but, and I'm trying to remain that big picture about this, but I guess where I'm confused is, are people listening to this and saying, well, you're a Democrat, and you seem to be talking about protectionism and not endorsing these neoliberal or globalizing views, and that used to be Trump's kind of calling card, was that he was saying no to international trade treaties and so on.
No, it's a betrayal of the people that did in Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania.
So you're not taking my bait because you're not addressing this in partisan terms.
Yeah,
so
no,
people need to figure out their own partisanship.
Look, I want to incentivize businesses
Right.
to stay in the United States,
Right.
create jobs here,
Right.
and make sure that we have people who have a strong, stable economic future.
Right.
If you go to those states, in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, they will tell you that their jobs were gone. Ohio, that they went to Mexico, they went off.
You see it everywhere,
outsourced.
and the kinds of jobs people
They
do
were
now.
promised it wasn't
Yeah.
going to happen,
Right.
but the president endorsed, lobbied for a tax cut bill
Right.
that is in essence a scam
So
for
why would
American
he?
workers.
Can I just ask you, why would he do that? Like, this tax bill had so many treats for corporations. Why did he also burn up his political capital? If people really get this story, his very voters are going to
The
feel
people
very
have got to
betrayed.
get the story.
Yes,
They
but
don't
why-
know it yet.
So we're communicating this,
That's right.
and people will talk about it. But I'm just wondering, what is the strategy for Trump to do that? Because how can he be reelected if the very people who voted for him because he was saying, I will put your jobs first, I will build a wall, enough of this outsourcing. And when they find out this happened, any idiot, like, it's so simple the way that you've explained it to me, any idiot will understand the math. So I'm just wondering, do you have any speculation about
well,
why?
I just think that once people understand and know what the effect of the tax bill is, that they will, they will step back. Now, one of the other pieces, because you mentioned in your commentary, that yes, some people have seen from the tax bill an increase in their
Little bit,
paycheck.
yeah.
And look, I'm of the view that every penny counts. Every penny counts. So yes. However, with bonuses, and that's good, but bonuses are not permanent. It's not your paycheck every single week or every month. Secondly, if you take a look at the Walmart, and we can get you the progression. Walmart gave $1,000 bonus, but you only received $1,000 if you were there for 20 years.
Oh my goodness.
And then there was a downward scale, and I will get that for you
Right.
to look at what you would get if you were there for 2 years.
It was clearly to me cosmetic, that there was something else.
So I'm saying,
going on.
and at the same time, what they did was they shuttered a number of the Sam's Club's facilities. In my district, in Orange, Connecticut, they laid off 155 workers. So, but education is critically important, so people know what happens, and then people are going to feel it, to absorb it, to understand that what they were told was a bill of goods.
Wow, but
and
this
it
is
wasn't
beyond
actually what's
anything.
happening.
I don't think, it's so interesting, I don't think any president or any party before now could have gotten away with such an overt handing over of American jobs to the rest of the world. I mean, it just seems so un-American, and maybe this is the nature of the dilution of the nation state.
And it's been Republican presidents, and it has been Democratic presidents. I'd say I saw that with President Clinton, and I saw that potentially with President Obama and the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement.
Oh, yeah.
Wanting to do that. So I just think it's wrong.
Yeah.
We need to really be supportive of American workers and their families and working people and families in this country. And what we shouldn't do is just depress wages here
Right.
and have loss of jobs in the United States,
Right.
but also have people in other countries working for $2 an hour as well, and with no environmental standards
exactly.
in either place.
No, I'm really responding to this because I was in Eastern Europe and I run a tech company, and people were saying, oh, we can get coders here to do this for a fifth of what, American coders are doing for, and I thought, wow, that's really tempting, but I can't possibly do that. But there are many businesses that will now, especially because they get a tax break for it.
They take their technology and they take their tax obligation, and it's overseas.
Extraordinary. So let me now ask you, because a lot of people will be watching this, and the people who are watching know what you're talking about, because many of our viewers are living that life, right? Many of our viewers are doing those two terrible jobs with no benefits, part-time or as contractors, and are living paycheck to paycheck. It's so huge, right? And people feel overwhelmed. What concretely can people do who want those jobs back or want to reverse that aspect of this tax bill? How can they support a bill, legislation, a candidate, a leader to protect their jobs and bring back those good jobs? Like, people often say at this point, well, that world is over, and there's no recourse. I have to believe that's not true. There are countries still that have protectionist policies and that do keep jobs in their borders. What would you say they can do?
Look, the fact is, and these are not my words, but they're the words of Joseph Stiglitz, who is the Nobel laureate, economic laureate, and he said, inequality and low wages are not the results of globalization or technology, but they are the result of the public policy choices that we make. We need to take a look at public policy choices. We need to take a look at investment in businesses in the United States. We need to take a look at serious investment in worker training and in apprenticeships. So 70% of the people in the United States do not have a college degree. So that we can't just kick people to the side of the road. We need to take a look at how we are working with community colleges and businesses to create jobs. We need to have a robust rebuilding of our infrastructure, not one that puts the responsibility only on the states, but have a federal investment to help to create
like the WPA,
jobs.
almost like an artificial jobs machine.
To create jobs. There are many ways that have to do with both education and utilizing our tax code and our resources to create jobs here.
I mean, that's great to hear. Devil's advocate, Clinton, I remember those speeches from the Clinton years because my then husband was writing them with the president, and he said the same thing. Don't worry about NAFTA. We're going to retrain everybody. We're going to work with community
but we have to worry about NAFTA.
Yeah.
I voted against NAFTA. President Clinton said at the time that those of us who were opposed to NAFTA were thugs. Barack Obama,
best dressed thug I've ever met.
President Obama said that those of us who were opposed to the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement did not know what we were talking about.
Oh my goodness.
We have now
since moved forward. Language.
We have now moved forward. We understand by the Bureau of Labor Statistics that we lost up to 1 million jobs because of NAFTA. I've seen it in my state with manufacturing jobs. Others have as well. We can write trade agreements. We can utilize our tax code to the benefit of American workers and their families.
And so practically, just to wrap it up and really end always on the action step, which is our mission here at Daily Cloud when we talk to leaders like you, if a tax bill that you think is bad has a clause in there that makes it an incentive for every business owner in America to offshore jobs, could there be a tax bill that reverses that? And then how do we do that?
Only if you have a new Congress and you turn around and you have a new House of Representatives come 2018 and a Senate. And
could just the House of Representatives pass a bill like
that?
Well,
yes, we can do that, but one we need to do is and this is partisan. We
you
have
can be
to
as partisan as you want.
We have to elect a Democratic Congress.
Okay. All right. But do enough Democrats agree with you about protectionism to
it's not protectionism.
Okay, what is it?
The word is, what we are saying is that let's not send our jobs overseas.
I'm with you.
Let's
Do enough of your colleagues
yes,
agree with
I
you?
believe enough of our colleagues. More importantly, I believe that's where the country is.
Okay.
And that's what the pressure on the institution
Yeah.
and the pressure on elections is at this very moment. People need to understand what this tax bill does to outsource jobs, and they need to understand it and say, no, we're not doing that, and we are going to elect people who do not want to do that.
So that, on that rousing note, that is a great conclusion. You know what your action step is. If you agree with Congresswoman DeLauro, her recommendation is that you be sure to vote in November. Only 18% of people vote in congressional elections, which is shocking. And if you really want to, be effective, don't just turn out every 4 years. Go this November and vote for. She would say
I would
Democrats.
say Democrats,
And
right.
I would say, if you support what she has to say, use the power you have of mobilizing your constituencies to send her your support, so that publicly, you can do that with Daily Cloud, so that other elected officials can see that this position has a lot of support. Because I would say it's not just enough to vote the party line, you have to be able to kind of get behind certain policies. If you don't agree with Representative DeLauro, at least you know what's in the bill and you know what's at stake. And I think the really exciting thing, I would just say this as an observer of the whole thing, obviously the message of we will bring your jobs back, we will bring good jobs back, it got President Trump elected. If I could ever hear Democrats, other than you, articulate a strong message based on that, I'm sure that message would have strong appeal in November. All right, thank you so
again.
much,
Thank you.
Congresswoman. Such an
Wonderful.
honor
Good to
and
be
a
with
delight.
you.
Thank you.